Well, Michael Reinsdorf addressed the media, and I'm going to be honest with you. I may have been left with that with as many questions as I came in with. We got some answers too, though. We're going to talk about it all and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the entire world. I'm joined, as I am every single day, by Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And Pat, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Michael Reinsdorf, and I will say this, shout out to Michael Reinsdorf for actually addressing the media. I can't remember the last time we saw Reinsdorf in front of the media. I don't even think we saw them in front of the media after Pax was fired. I think that the next time we saw people, it was AK and Eversley explaining things. So, shout out to Michael Reinsdorf for getting into that. But there are a lot of questions being left in this, bro. Where do you want to start at, Pat? Where do you want to start? Because I know everybody's going to hear us talk about the Billy aspect. Do you want to jump into the deep end with that, or do you want to start with something else?
Listen, I want to start with the fact that, to me, Michael Reinsdorf, as crazy as it is to say, right, he picked a lane. He said where he was going to go. And that's the bottom line, because Michael Reinsdorf said so.
Because Michael Reinsdorf said so.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never heard a Reinsdorf speak with this level of conviction. I'm not going to say that I believe everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows because of this. But it did feel like a owner that was very passionate and very upset with what he had seen. And remember, I know people look at this and they're like, this happened 4 years too late. Presidents of basketball don't get fired 2 years into the job, right?
Yeah,
if you're doing that,
it's not a coach.
You are really like, it's time to sell on a whole different scale. So he's doing this early in the process. He was very like, firing back on the media for things that he felt were reported wrong. Or, I thought it was very interesting hearing that AK and Mark Eversley hadn't been extended. And so maybe there was some daggers thrown his way that weren't fair. I like the fact that Michael Reinsdorf went out there. I don't agree with everything he said, but you know what? He stood on business and said, this is the path that the Chicago Bulls are going to take to move forward. And he kind of poo-pooed tanking. We'll talk about the Billy aspect of all of this, but as wild as it is to say, didn't it feel like you had a leader of your organization sitting there talking to you and not a boob that just was going out there trying to collect money? Like, that's how I left feeling. Again, I don't agree with everything he said, but if you gonna go down, double down on that thing. Yeah, like, shout out to, I got to give him credit on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I do give him credit for like him even saying like, he was asked about the whole tanking thing. He says, we want to win, but we don't want to win if it's not sustainable, which is a great mindset to have in regards to that. And, he even talked about the team, saying basically, that the Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine team was like, yeah, that was a good team to build off of if Lonzo didn't win down, but we even still had doubts if that team was going to be able to win, sustain winning. And it's like, so basically like you said, you don't fire president of basketball operations 2 years into the job. But basically what Michael said is we started realizing problems with this very early on.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first regime, right? And it's 35 games in. You see the injuries, you see the issues. I do like how I thought he was very open and honest about, how he has to have some accountability in all of this process as well, right? Like the fact that he put himself a little bit on the coming straight off of Easter, right, on the torture stake, right, where he's saying, you know what, I'm the one who's in charge here at the end of the day. It can't just be these guys get to go out there and do whatever the heck they want. I need to ask valuable questions. I need to push back if I don't agree with something. And remember, and again, right, like what's been reported, what's been said, I've heard this from a very close source. Take it if you want to believe it. I heard from the beginning, Michael Reinsdorf didn't want to pay Zach LaVine.
Yep.
But he was in between a rock and a hard place where you've had this guy who is very talented, right? And Zach LaVine, I don't think anybody would say Zach LaVine's not talented, who went through the ugly years of the organization. You're going to have a hard time getting free agents here if you're not paying him for the good times in the organization so that he's able to benefit and reap some of those benefits, right? Like, But Michael was against paying him, but he's like, you know what? I understand the logic on that. Let's go down this path. Like those things to me, is that going to be different this time around where maybe there is we got guys here who are currently a part of the roster. Maybe somebody comes in and they love Trey Jones, or somebody comes in and they love Miles Buzelis, and they're like, give them all the money in the world, make them one of the highest paid players in the league. Is Michael Reinsdorf then going to go, hold on, pump the brakes, brother? We got to take a look at this game.
Yeah,
we got because I don't feel like that's what is going to get us to this next level. I like that he's living in a world where, hey, I have to be involved. I can't just be a hands-off owner in all of this. And which is why he's at every game, legitimately every single Bulls game. So like, I would think you wanted to be, but you got to learn that role. This is new to Michael still in some ways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and he even admitted that basically, just saying, that the team typically it lets the people that they hire do their thing, but they don't have complete autonomy. But he even said like, hey, maybe now I need to be more hands-on. I need to be more aware. I need to be the way I took it, this is my personal interpretation, is that whoever they hire now, it seems like there's going to be more checks and balances in the sense that not necessarily I'm standing over your shoulder looking at all your work, but it may be hey, let's have a conversation at the end of every year. Let's talk about what went right, what went wrong. Yep. Let's talk about how we're going to correct the things that went wrong, and I'm going to congratulate you on the things that went right. And hopefully in each of those meetings as you progress, the list of things that went right are much longer than the things that went wrong. And then you're just basically just touching base with the person running your team, your organization. And I want to pick up on this, though. How did you feel about him talking about the structure? The Bulls have typically had a very traditional structure. You have a president of basketball ops, a VP, a GM, a bunch of assistants. He said in this case, like, maybe we don't hire a VP. Maybe we don't give that role this time. Maybe it's a GM with a bunch of assistant GMs. They're even talking about the Billy Donovan, which we'll talk about more so in the next segment. But what do you just think about him being kind of more open to maybe a non-traditional structure? We've seen this with other franchises. Sometimes the president and the GM are the same. They actually hold the same role. Sometimes it's a president and just an assistant GM, and that way you have that space in there if you want to promote somebody and don't lose your GM because another team tries to poach him. It just seems like he's kind of thinking more about that structure and what it can mean to retaining talent and not leaving that, which tells me like, hey, again, like I just said, it's not going to be this thing you get hired and you have 17 years. We're going to be reviewing this a little bit more. That's the way I took that.
I think you got to look at the positions and stuff like that, right? Like Mark Eversley was a GM in name. Mark Eversley was the money guy, right? He was the guy that he was the
contract guy.
He was the contract guy. He knew how to
go draw up the contract.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but technically he was a GM because of the position that he gave. We know that Arturas was the one that was going out there and finding the players. We know that Arturas was the one that was going out there and making these decisions and maybe going towards decisions that Billy Donovan and, the front office didn't agree with, but they wanted to let them live in that sense, right? Like, I think that this is more and twofold on this. Number one, I think that you're learning, okay, the money guy can be the money guy. He doesn't need to be a general manager, especially if he doesn't speak. And by the way, shots fired on not speaking. Michael Reinsdorf coming out saying, we're going to have somebody who communicates better. That pause was a chasm when he said that anything. I was just like, oh, okay, we doing that.
That was a very loaded pause, bro.
And then
that was like when Wycliffe said, you can either make this song or you cannot make this song.
Right, you know what I'm saying? That's legitimately it. I also think, and I think you can't overlook this, the name that he brought up, who is a GM right now, is Sam Presti.
Yep.
You can change a title if Sam Presti comes over here. Technically, he could get a promotion if you wanted to go after that. He talked glowingly about OKC's standards, and I feel like that was a little bit of a message. Yo, if you come over here, you the boss, you the god, you get to do whatever you want to do. I'll be there. I'll ask some questions and things like that, but it's not going to be somebody else in the room with you that is the decision maker. It's your show to have. And if you want to work with Billy Donovan again, we would love to make that happen. That's how it felt like to me when he specifically brought up OKC when asked about how he wants to structure things.
Yeah, I mean, he said, listen, I like a lot of what OKC did. Like, it's just, Michael Reinsdorf just seems very much more aware than what I gave him credit for. Michael Reinsdorf has come off very aloof, very much so like hey, I'm a Bulls fan. Like, he is a Bulls fan, but it seems like he finally realized, like, hey, I got to take this job. I have an actual job I need to be doing here, and I got to take that job seriously if you want to get out of this thing. So
yeah, it's a different world that it feels like we're living in with Michael Reinsdorf, where being this upfront and this outgoing and being like, hey, ask me better questions. Yeah. Like, that was crazy. He was like, I thought somebody would ask me this, but you know what I'm looking for in a coach, in a GM, and a president? Here you go.
Well, we know what he's looking for in a coach. We know what he's looking for in a coach. That is somebody who's already there at the job. That's one Billy Bubblegum Donovan. We're going to talk about Michael Reinsdorf's comments on Billy Donovan coming up right after this. But before we get into that, we got to get a message from one of our sponsors, and that is Wayfair. Pat, how'd you get Game Time?
That was at the bottom. I don't know. Oh, we got 2 each. My fault.
Wayday is here. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your space, this is the time to do it. We're talking about some of the best deals of the year on furniture, decor, outdoor essentials, everything you need to refresh your home. During Wayday, Wayfair is offering up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Make it easy to find pieces that fit your style. It's super easy to filter by style, size, and price, so you're not wasting time scrolling at all. The reviews and photos help you feel confident in what you're getting, and Wayfair verified products are vetted by specialists, so you know that you're getting a quality product. Whether it's upgrading a room, adding an outdoor piece, or just finding something that ties your space together, it makes the whole process simple from start to finish. Wayday is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking up to 80% off with fast, free shipping on everything. Head to wayfair.com April 25th through 27th to shop Wayday. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Also got to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors, and that is Game Time. There's nothing like being in the NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that's the part that hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that is with the fans. Pulled up the Game Time app, picked an upcoming NBA game, and had tickets locked within minutes. Love seeing the all-in pricing up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Being able to see the view from your seat before buying made the decision easy. Zone deals stood out. Chose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
.co, right?
What did I say?
Not .com. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
I'm messing with you.
I was about to say, dang. All right, Pat. So the quote that I know everybody's going to run with from this interview is Michael Reinsdorf directly said, if we're interviewing someone and they're not interested in keeping Billy, if he wants to stay, that probably means that they're not for us. I know that that's going to get most of the headlines. I know that's what's going to get most of the reactions. Yeah. Pat, you talked a little bit about that on the episode we did this morning. How do you feel now hearing ownership saying that directly? Basically, if you don't, so if Bob Myers, Masai Ujiri, whoever it is, comes in here and they're like, yeah, but I want to keep Billy. Basically, Michael Reinsdorf is saying, yeah, no, then okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and wrap this on up. We appreciate your time. How you feeling, Pat?
Thank you for playing the work version of our game. Get the listen, y'all know how I feel about Billy. I don't think that you win a championship with Billy Donovan. I think I view Billy very differently than a lot of people around here do, right? Like I look at Billy as a fine coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I think that he can get you to a certain point, but I think most people would say that Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are two of the greatest players to ever dribble a basketball, and you couldn't find a way to win with those guys. Again, winning in the NBA is hard. I'm not going to say it's not, but you was up 3-1. You know what I mean? Like, get the job done. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it is putting you in a position where you can't have success. I don't think it's putting you in a position where you can't have championship level success. I would say I feel the same way about Monty Williams, who went to an NBA championship. I would say I feel the same way about Nick Nurse, who won an NBA championship. I would say I feel the same way about Mike Budenholzer, who won an NBA championship. What I think that Michael Reinsdorf is saying with we're keeping Billy, we feel great about him as a coach. We want that stability there with him and the players that we want to hold on to. But this is the next step of this. And if you're not rocking with Billy, you're not rocking with us, essentially. It's your job to give him the best players. And Michael truly feels like Billy wasn't put in a position to succeed, whether that's with DeMar. He didn't say which regime that was with, whether it's with DeMar, whether it's with Kobe, whether it's with Ayo. He said Billy has done the best that he can with the rosters that he had. I don't think that many of us would disagree with that for the most part. Maybe the DeMar, Zach, and Lonzo lineup, right? And the Vooch, you could see, all right, you should be winning a little bit more. You should be able to find your way to a 7-8 seed. And I think that's a valid argument there. But I don't think anybody looks at, this year's roster and goes, the Bulls should have won 45 games. I think most of us look at it and go, oh, kind of, it is what it is. These are the players you had, and you got to figure it out. Does that mean that Billy Donovan is going to become the best head coach of all time? No.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. I think he drew his line in the sand on that, but I don't think that it's like how some Bulls fans are going to frame it as the world is ending.
Here's the thing, right? That I'll say is that it to me, it's not about, and I want to make it clear on this. This isn't about Billy being a good coach or not. That's not really the biggest thing here. I know that's where Bulls fans are going to argue about it at. It's not really about if Billy's a good coach or not. This is about if you want the person, do you want the person that's best suited to actually get the Bulls out of the hole that we're in, or do you want the person that's best suited to get to be with Billy? Because those may be two very different things, right? That's I think the overarching issue. That's the bigger issue here is that if you hire somebody in here, you say, we want you to be the lead to get us out of the hell that we've been in as an organization for even longer than AK and Eversley's been here. But then you're saying, but you have to do it with holding on to this coach. And I think even then, like, you could turn off candidates because then it's basically saying you're already showing your hand that your loyalty lies with Billy. So if, let's say this GM is looking at this job and he's like, okay, but what if I'm not happy with the way Billy's coaching in 2 years? Do I have to fight ownership with that? Does that start like a new infighting thing? What does that do? Whereas maybe I can go with Dallas and Dallas is telling me, oh, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm just saying that from a structural standpoint, it causes issues, even regardless of taking out the consideration how good Billy is or not.
No, listen, I would agree. I'm not going to say I disagree, but I also think we have to throw the caveat of a lot of these candidates we're going to interview really respect Billy Donovan, right? So it's if you're taking out the best names, if we get to the end of this.
Hold on, let me stop you there real quick, Pat. Because how many people do you respect, but for sure as hell you wouldn't want to work with?
None.
Oh, that's a lot.
If I don't respect you, I can't work with you. Yeah, it truly is like, for me, I got to have some level of respect with. Now, if we like side by side and I can ignore you, that's different. But Billy Donovan ain't in that role. I got to work with you every single day.
Well, I mean, if you listen to what Michael said, he said that they want Billy to take more of an active role in decision making. So basically, saying you do want them to work side by side.
But I think this is the thing that we got to figure out at the end of the day, and it's the part we won't know, right? If this process is done and Bob Meyer says, "Yeah, I wanted to be there, but I don't like Billy Donovan," that's a different world, right? If we go into this and I'm not, banging at the drum for Masai Ujiri, although they did say Luol Deng might be coming with Masai Ujiri, and that perked my Bulls ears up a little bit. It's still, I'm not there yet, but it perked my Bulls ears up a little bit. I was like, okay,
that's exactly what they want, Pat. They
100% it is, right?
They want to bring back people that we got nostalgia over and be like, see.
Hey, you know why? Because Luol can talk. They gonna send Luol out there to talk to us, and we gonna be like, no. All right, it's Luol. Okay, I get it. I get the plan. No, but like, if we hear that the best names aren't in it because Billy Donovan is there, I get it 100%. If we hear that the best names are pulling out of the race because Billy Donovan is there, then it's a problem. But I do think that there's a lot of these top guys that we look at around the NBA that will be very intrigued with working with Billy Donovan and probably go, yeah, if I just gave him the players he wanted, he probably wins more games than 20, whatever we're at now, 26. And he probably has a much more competitive team.
Could be. I mean, listen, like you said, like we both talked about, you give somebody Dalen Terry over over you give them Walker Kessler over Dalen Terry, you never know what that could do for a team. Right?
And this is the thing we got to understand, Haize. Me and you could see that from here. AK was in the building and saw Devin Vassell and with Patrick Williams.
He saw Devin Vassell and Patrick Williams playing and said, that guy right there with the patch, tell me about him.
By the way, this is all, and we may be to a point where we've talked a lot on Billy on this. This is all if Billy want to stay. Billy might be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Remember the last time it was a rebuilding organization, Billy stepped away. Now, maybe he feel like I missed out on an opportunity to win some rings. Could be. But this is still based on if at the end of the season, Billy Donovan wants to be the Bulls head coach. We don't know that just yet. So it's a lot of speculation, but we'll see what ends up happening there. We do got to talk about this. Michael Reinsdorf learning from his mistakes. He mentioned a few things throughout the press conference that I thought really talked to him figuring some things out through the AK process. We'll talk about that coming up next. But first, we got to tell you guys all about Indeed, man. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing in the one position you have to fill, still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people you actually want that fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across a post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you guys, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When you need the right person, cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs, and listeners of this show will get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now to support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. I also got to tell you guys all about BetterHelp. There it is. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Financial stress is something a lot of people are carrying right now, and it's not just about numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationship, your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. We say in Chicago, broke five broke, we ain't got it. If that is you, this applies. The reality is struggling with money doesn't mean that you failed. Sometimes it just means you haven't had the right kind of support. It's something that I've thought about, how easy it is to put pressure on yourself financially without really talking about it, the stress that comes with trying to figure out everything on your own. And therapy isn't about financial advice. It's about working through that stress, the anxiety, and the emotions that come with it. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp makes it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
All right, Pat. Michael Reinsdorf learning from past mistakes. There were a couple of mentioned in that. It does seem like he also mentioned you going through a firm to help get interviews and candidates in there, which is interesting as hell, especially for an NBA level team. But what stood out the most to you, Pat?
I think that, you know what I mean? They kind of didn't go through that process the last time. They really trusted John Paxson to find the right guy. And I don't know if he was looking in the wrong direction. I just think maybe the wrong process happened there and you didn't know everything, right? Like, you were looking from a championship organization. I believe they had just won the NBA championship, right? Or had they won yet?
They hadn't won yet because then
they had one yet. They won the year we hired him, right?
Yeah. I think that's.
They won the year that we end up getting him in here. You felt like he was a guy that could scout well. He was a scout. You felt like he was a guy that could draft well. He had drafted well in the past. He had made good trades. He had made good acquisitions. But maybe there was somebody, you know, behind the table, under the scenes, that was really running the show there, because we did not see a lot of that here in Chicago. I like the fact that you're going through a search firm here. As long as Ernie Accorsi and Bill Polian aren't involved, I don't mind the word search firm.
Every time I hear Bill Polian's name, I get pissed, irrationally pissed off.
Yeah,
Sorry about
100%, 100%. Because he like was so in on Matt Eberflus. What a
bro.
Anyway, I think the bottom line of all of that though is it's kind of what George McCaskey did, but in a basketball sense. And I know, right, with the football that we did the search firm thing and it didn't work out, but in a basketball sense, Michael Reinsdorf is admitting, hey, we might not have the people in this building. We got people that know how to identify traits, but we might not have the people that are in this building to identify what an elite president of basketball is going to look like. We want to cast a wide net. We want to give as much opportunity as we can to get the right guy in here. And the bottom line at the end of the day is we need to get this right this time around. We're going to use every avenue that is available to us for us to be able to make our final decision. I can't be mad at a guy that says, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Help. Yeah. And that's kind of what, to me, not to say the search firm is all that, but I think that that is learning from a mistake that you have made in the past where you just said, well, Pax, we don't know what's going on, and you haven't really known what's going on over the last 10 years.
Imagine the guy that came to you and said, hey, I don't know how to do this job anymore. You should hire somebody else. And then you look at him and say, okay, bet, well, you go fire the guy to do it.
Bro, you know what I mean? Like
that doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
I was like, yeah, you did use Pax. Wasn't Pax in on Gar?
Yeah, Pax hired Gar.
Wasn't Gar Pax's guy? Wasn't that him? So you wanted him to go find the next guy? Okay, all right, I we'll figure that out eventually. Like, and I will say this: I love the search firm idea for the simple fact, and talk about being self-aware. He realizes what fans have been going through over the last 6 years, and maybe even further than that. Whenever Gar Forman spoke, he realizes that I need somebody that can communicate our goal, not only to the team, but to the fans, and none of these mugs are good at it.
And you know what? Something I didn't think, I honestly had not thought about it until this happened for some reason, because I always think about the coach dealing directly with players. Imagine when you come into training camp, when AK addresses all the players and the coaching staff together, like people were probably sitting there like, what the hell did he just say? Hey, it is what it is, bro.
Bro, it truly is like, could you imagine being a player and just like hearing AK's game plan and just being like, so nothing changes. So we just doing the exact same thing again.
Shoot more.
All right. Okay. You got it, boss. It was an upgrade from the time cards, punching in and punching out.
Oh my God, bro.
For that workman-like experience.
Oh man, I just hope that we actually get a better front office this time, because I remember people, well, we can't possibly do worse than Gar Pax.
So Gar started in 2009.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good picks.
Listen. Gar makes, so okay, 2009, Taj
his mistake, McDermott was a mistake, Hoiberg was a mistake. Well, I don't even know if Hoiberg was a mistake.
Taj was Paxton's last one, right?
Yeah, was Hoiberg a mistake, or was Hoiberg screwed over here, kind of like Billy has been?
I think both can be true. I think Hoiberg also is one of those coaches that has some solid fundamentals. He never got the roster that he wanted, but I think even if he got the roster that he wanted, I don't know if he's Billy Donovan light. I don't know if much changes in that sense, right? Like, so listen, it is what it is, bro.
To me, that's your mistakes, right? You fired Thibs. Okay, it's time to fire Thibs. That's fine. I think everybody that has had Thibs has gotten to the point where you're like, it's time to fire Thibs. But Fred Hoiberg is the next answer, was not the answer you were looking for. These are not the answers you're looking for. Yeah, hey, bro, like Gar was like a lot better. Like it got ugly with the draft by the end, but Gar was like light years better when you look at draft picks. When you look, he couldn't talk either. That's why Pax kept having to talk. But like when you look at all of Gar's picks kind of through the two from 2009.
All right, let's see. So Gar drafted Jimmy Butler.
Taj got to be in there, right? 2009.
Hired Tom Thibodeau.
He hired Tom. Okay.
He hired Tom Thibodeau. Drafted Taj and Nikola Mirotic.
Yep.
Sign Paul Gasol.
Yep.
Worst moves: hiring Jim Boylan,
Terrible.
trading Jimmy Butler,
Terrible.
firing Tom Thibodeau,
I don't view that as worse, but okay.
trading for Otto Porter Jr.,
Terrible.
Tony Snell.
Who went after Tony? That draft was cheeks, though, wasn't it?
I'll have to go
That
back
draft. I want to say that draft was fairly awful.
Let's take a look. Hold
that
on,
one might. I might have to give Gar a little. I might have to give Gar a little pass on that one. I think that draft, if I'm not mistaken, is that a Michael Carter Williams year?
Let's see. Let's go see. All right, it's already starting off cheeks. Anthony Bennett.
Oh God.
Victor Oladipo.
Oh, well, he was cool.
He was cool for a while there. Otto Porter. Cody Zeller.
Oh God.
Alex Lynn.
Oh God.
Nerlens Noel.
Jesus Christ.
Ben McLemore.
Nobody won in this draft.
Trey Burke. Michael Carter Williams.
I can't even hold this against them, bro.
Okay, hold on. But let's look at the people who went after Tony Snell.
Hold on. Heck of a pull by me to realize that's the Michael Carter Williams draft. Though.
Okay,
That was impressive.
After Tony Snell, though, players that end up working out. Tim Hardaway Jr. could have been the draft pick. Rudy Gobert. Oof. But other than that, it was a
yeah, Rudy's a tough one.
So,
and Rudy might be cheeks.
And we needed a center at that time.
Yeah, Rudy's a tough one.
So,
and that would have been. Is that a year? That's a year with Thibs too. Thibs might have toughened Rudy
up.
With
Thibs, you could have had it to where you could have transitioned from Joe to Rudy Gobert.
Skip and Draymond is in there too. Denzel Valentine year.
Yeah, Valentine, who we're high on. Paul Zipper. But anyway, let's get up out of here, Pat. This is our second. Wait, listen. This is our fourth episode. It's Tuesday.
Hey, I gotta go do the breeze and do this whole thing again. So everybody in here, come on over there. Me and JC about to go live over there. It doesn't end. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Big shout out to you guys for tuning in and showing love as always, man.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. Make sure you guys go to lockedonbulls.supercast.com to sign up for the Everydayers Club, where you get exclusive access to the Locked On Discord. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, and Fubo TV. Basically, anywhere you want us, you can get it. We'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow. Maybe.
Maybe. See. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. May take a day off. Peace, y'all.
I got 4 episodes. Figure it out.